All right, let's see if we can't make some money with these Week 6 best bets. Had a bad week last week, but we still sit with a winning record overall, so hopefully we can get back on the right track here in Week 6, start stacking things up a little bit. 5 bets I have here in Week 6. I'd like to go through them all now quickly. Beginning with the Pittsburgh Steelers going on the road to face the New York Jets. The Jets installed as a 1-point favorite on BETDAQ, and I like Pittsburgh in this game. I believe this is a consummate buy low, sell high situation. Not a whole lot of people eager to back the Steelers right now. 0-4 on the year, the 31st ranked offense in the NFL. The Jets, on the other hand, coming off that Monday night win on the road in Atlanta, so people are looking upon the Jets more positively right now than they have in a long time. Steelers, though, coming off a bye week, that tough top 10 defense, an extra week to prepare for this mistake-prone New York Jets offense. Remember, before last week, when he only had to throw 20 passes against that porous Atlanta defense, Geno Smith had turned the ball over 11 times in just 4 games. I think this is a situation where the Pittsburgh defense has an excellent chance of outscoring the New York offense. Really think they're going to put Geno Smith and company on lockdown. And even though Pittsburgh hasn't been producing much on offense themselves, I think a little bit of offensive production is going to be enough for them to win this game. I do like Pittsburgh on the road, picking up their first win of the season against the New York Jets. Next game I'd like to talk about, the Detroit Lions on the road facing the Cleveland Browns. I like the road team here once again. I am on Detroit -1. 1 point, that spread on BETDAQ. Listen, I know Cleveland has a lot of momentum right now, winning 3 games in a row. However, I do believe that knee injury to Bobby Hoyer last week might have squashed that momentum. I know they ended up winning the game. Brandon Weeden came in and made a couple of nice throws in the second half. I do not trust Brandon Weeden, though. 20 interceptions in 17 career starts. And the Detroit secondary, a ball-hawking group. Lions already have 8 interceptions this season, so I really think they're going to have success against this Cleveland offense. And as long as Calvin Johnson is playing for the Lions, they have one of the best offenses in the NFL. Now, Johnson missed last week's game, and the Lions were held below double digits for only the second time in 50 games. And Johnson is listed as questionable for this game. Before you place a bet here, I do advise checking and making sure Calvin Johnson is playing. But I am planning on him playing. I'd be surprised if he's not out there. He's been very durable throughout his career. It was a little bit surprising that he missed last week's game. So I think we're going to see Calvin Johnson in this game. I think we're going to see the Detroit Lions pick up a road victory. I think they're the better team in this situation, and I think they beat the Browns. The next game I'd like to talk about, the Philadelphia Eagles going on the road to face the Tampa Bay Bucks. Philadelphia, a 1-point favorite on BETDAQ. And over the course of the week, this game has grown on me, and I have now decided to pull the trigger on Tampa +1. As a general rule, I do not like betting on rookie quarterbacks. If you've noticed, if you've seen what we've done here the last couple of years on BETDAQ NFL, it's very, very rare that I will choose a rookie quarterback as one of my best bets. And Mike Glennon, only making his second career start, did not look very good a couple of weeks ago in his first career start. However, the Bucks have had a bye week to prepare here. They've actually played pretty well at home this season. I know they've lost both of their games, but those losses have come by a combined 5 points. One of those losses came to the New Orleans Saints, who are one of the best teams in the NFL. Philadelphia, really, really bad on defense. The Eagles cannot stop anybody. Their 2 wins this season have been against bad teams, Washington and the Giants. Now, Tampa Bay might be a bad team. I understand that, but this game in Tampa, the Bucks have had an extra week to prepare for that Chip Kelly offense, and I don't expect that offense to look the same with Nick Foles replacing Mike Vick at quarterback. Now, Foles played well last week when he came in relief of Vick, but keep in mind, he was facing that New York Giants defense, which is the worst defense in the NFL. The Giants allowing over 36 points per game. Tampa, on the other hand, ranks in the top half of the NFL in every major statistical category. So I think Foles might have a little more trouble getting that Philly offense going this week. And without the quarterback running ability being a factor in this Philadelphia offense, I think it's going to look really different. I know Chip Kelly says that's not the case. Chip Kelly says that you can plug any type of quarterback into this offense and it would work just the same. But if you've seen Kelly's offense at Oregon, if you've seen him so far this year in Philadelphia, it's just hard to buy that. The quarterback runs so much. I mean, Michael Vick had over 70 rushing yards last week before he went out of that game. And when you remove that element from the offense, just not sure it's going to look the same. Tampa, as I mentioned, has been playing very well on defense this year. With an extra week to prepare, I like the Bucs' chances of picking up a home win. I am on Tampa +1 against Philadelphia, even though I will say that was not, when I first looked at the lines at the beginning of the week, that wasn't a game that I thought I would be on, but it's one of those that has grown on me over the course of the week. Another game that I would say fits in that same category is the Carolina-Minnesota game. Now, a lot of unpredictability surrounding this game with the whole Adrian Peterson situation. Peterson's 2-year-old son tragically killed a few days ago. We are hearing that Peterson will play in this game, but who knows what kind of Adrian Peterson we're going to see. Are we going to see a guy who's only a shell of himself because he's emotionally exhausted? Are we going to see a guy that comes out with even more emotion because of his situation and really takes out his frustration on the Carolina defense? It's impossible to predict. The bet I like in this game is the under. 43.5 is the total on BETDAQ. The Panthers have been very good on defense this season, and they have been very bad on offense recently. Cam Newton has not been able to get anything going through the air. Not sure if defenses have just figured out how to defend Newton, or I'm not sure if it's a case of Newton's weapons on the outside either aging or regressing. After all, Steve Smith, his number one wide receiver, is 34 years old now. Newton has not been able to find Smith down the field for those big plays that were a staple of this offense a couple of years ago. Minnesota, not very good on defense, not particularly good on offense either, especially if Peterson is not at 100%. Matt Castle will be starting this game for the Vikings. We mentioned the Panthers have been excellent on defense this season, so I don't expect Minnesota to have a whole lot of offensive success in this game. But even though they haven't been great on defense, I do expect them to have some success slowing down this Carolina offense, because everybody has had success slowing down the Carolina offense recently. So 43.5 looks a little high to me here. I am on under 43.5 in this game. Final game that I'm on this Sunday is the Sunday night game, the Dallas Cowboys hosting the Washington Redskins. Dallas a 5.5 point favorite on BETDAQ, and I do like Dallas to cover that number. From the outside looking in, if you just sort of break down this game and look at the stats, this looks like two great offenses and two bad defenses. You might look at this game and say, we're going to see a game similar to what we saw last week when the Denver Broncos edged the Cowboys in that 51-48 classic. However, you look a little closer at the Washington Redskins, I don't think this is a team with a really good offense and a really bad defense. I think this is a team with a bad offense and an awful defense. The Redskins, as bad defensively as any team in the NFL, and even though on offense, statistically, they look okay, top 10 in the league in yards per game, most of those yards have been racked up in garbage time when the Redskins have been way behind in the second half of games. As a matter of fact, it was hard for me to believe. I had to look back. Actually, I had to go through each one of Washington's games to see the scoring breakdown, because I knew they had produced more points than that. It turns out the offense just hadn't produced any more points. But get this, Washington, in their 4 games this season, they've only produced 10 first-half points on offense. They've had 3 defensive touchdowns in the first half of games, 2 D'Angelo Hall interception returns, and 1 David Amerson interception return, but only 10 offensive points in the first half in 4 games. So the Redskins really having trouble getting it going on offense. Now, Dallas doesn't have a great defense, but they've been okay. Now, last week's game notwithstanding, when they allowed 51 points to Denver Broncos, up until that point, Dallas have been okay on defense, certainly much better than Washington. I believe Dallas is better on both sides of the ball here. Think they're a better team, and think they're going to get a comfortable win at home against the Washington Redskins. Anybody who's worried about the Cowboys having a hangover from last week's game when that tough loss to Denver, I'd put those worries aside. This is a division rival, and the Redskins beat the Cowboys in the final game of the regular season last year. That won the NFC East for the Redskins and ended the season for the Dallas Cowboys. So Cowboys have plenty of motivation in this game. I think they get it done. I think they cover the 5.5 against Washington. There you have it. Those are my 5 picks for this Week 6. I like Pittsburgh +1 against the New York Jets. I like Detroit -1 against the Cleveland Browns. Tampa Bay +1 at home against Philadelphia. I like the under in the Carolina-Minnesota game. That is under 43.5. And I like Dallas -5.5. I wish you best of luck in whatever you decide to do, just so long as your interests don't conflict with my interests.